soul mirror where we reflect on resilience, reinvention, and the inner spark that keeps us thriving. I'm your host, Shreya, and today's guest is Carlos Reyes, a veteran of the health and fitness industry, over 35 years of experience, coaching individuals through every stage of life. As a personal trainer, wellness coach, and advocate for acting aging, Carlos brings wisdom, compassion, and strategy to the conversation around what it really means to stay vibrant and strong after 50. This episode is for anyone who believes that the second act might just be the most powerful one yet. So, welcome, Carlos. I'm honored to have you on my show.
Thank you for the invitation. It's great to be here.
And Carlos, what are the biggest misconception people have about health and fitness after 50?
I think the biggest misconception is it's too late to start. In my view, it's never too late to start, but you also don't have forever. I mean, keep in mind that once you hit 50, you're in the second half of your lifespan. And so what we want to make sure that you prioritize is your health and well-being because you want your health span to be as vibrant as your lifespan. So if you're lucky to live into your 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, even your hundreds, you want those years to be as productive, as vibrant, as energetic as possible. And the number one way to do that is to make sure that you prioritize your health and well-being.
Yeah, that's so true. And thank you for sharing this with us. And what is the truth you wish more people knew?
I wish the truth or, a shift belief is that prioritizing your health and well-being is a selfish act. Once you hit the age of 50, most of us are established in our careers. Some of us have families, we may have children, and we may be on the precipice of starting to take care of our parents who took care of us, right? Because they are now much older.
Yeah.
And so if you neglect your health and well-being, it will make it much harder for you to take care of all of those people who rely on you. Your spouse, your significant other, your children, your parents. You may be a CEO of a company, so your employees rely on you to lead them in a health and beneficial way. You may be a business owner and you have employees that you need to take care of, right? So they rely on you maintaining the business so they can continue to get their weekly paychecks. And so the misconception or the belief, the wrong belief that prioritizing your health and well-being is a selfish act, in fact, can be the most unselfish thing you do, especially if there are many people who rely on you.
Yes, and that's so grounding. It's not about chasing youth, it's about building strength for the life you want now.
Mm-hmm. Good analogy is, if you're ever on an airplane, right, and you're listening to the stewardess and she's telling you about the safety features, and heaven forbid the airplane should encounter some turbulence or distress. Well, the first thing that they tell you is put your mask on first, right? And so that's a great sort of visual, that's a great analogy on how important it is that you prioritize your self-care. Put on your mask on first so you have the oxygen that you will need to help the person next to you put on their mask, and that person help the next person put on their.
Yes, that's so beautiful. That the thing you have said. And also, you talk about the practical, possible, and productive approach. What does that look like in a typical fitness plan for someone in their 60s or 70s?
Well, most of the people that I work with, or all of the people that I work with, are over 50. And so they're very busy individuals. And like we just talked about, they have lots of responsibilities and people who rely on them. And so living in I'm a realist and I like to live in the real world. So the practical, the possible, and the productive basically means what is your practical situation, meaning your environment? Do you have access to a gym? Can you work out at home? How much time do you actually have? And then the possible is within that framework, what's possible for you to incorporate into your daily life? on a consistent and a maintenance basis, meaning that, most of us would like to work out every day for an hour, right? But that's not possible for many people because their lives are so busy. So what's actually possible? Can you work out 3 times a week for an hour? Or can you work out 5 times a week for a half hour? So we take the practical, we insert that into the possible, and then we take those two and we make them as productive as possible. What I mean by that is we pick exercises that are going to give you the biggest bang for the buck. We structure workouts in a way that you're going to get as much out of it within the time span that we've chosen. And so, again, all of the people that I work with are extremely busy. Most of them are overwhelmed because they're being pulled in multiple directions. And so my job as their health coach slash personal trainer is not only to get them to incorporate a regular exercise program into their daily lives, but make sure that we structure it in such a way that they can maintain it. Because oftentimes that's what trips people up. It's not so much everybody wants to feel better, everybody wants to look better, everybody wants to move better, but not everybody can maintain that throughout their daily lives for a long time. And so my job is to make sure that we structure it in such a way that the potential for that to happen is greatest.
Yes, that's so wonderful. And also, how do you help them to stay consistent without feeling overwhelmed?
Well, if they're working with me on a one-on-one basis, then I hold them accountable. Um, so we make sure that we communicate in an open manner, so it becomes a partnership, right? So it's not me telling them not me telling them what to do, but us working together to come up with a plan that's going to fit into their daily lives that they can maintain. And then weekly check-ins or regular check-ins with them, we find out what's working, what isn't working, what we could be doing better, where they're having trouble, where they're being derailed, right? Oftentimes life gets in the way, especially when you're over 50, because you have so many other things that you need to take care of and other people who rely on you. And so we have to figure out a plan on how to navigate those moments when life gets in the way, when you're so overwhelmed that you can't even think straight. And the last thing you want to do is exercise. When you're so stressed out that you're making bad food choices. So we come up with strategies on how we can help you have the tools. So when those situations arise, you know what to do in that situation.
Yes, that's so refreshing. I think it's really a very refreshing perspective that less pressure and more sustainability.
Sure.
And also longevity isn't just physical. So how do you address the mental and emotional aspects of well-being in your coaching?
Well, that was one of the reasons why I decided to become a health coach.
Mm.
So I have been in the health and fitness industry for 35 years, 35 plus years. And when I hit my 20th anniversary, um, I had been with many of my clients for a number of years. And one of the things that I'm most proud of is the long-term relationship that I've established with them. So when they started with me, they may have come to me because they wanted an extrinsic goal. They had an extrinsic goal. They wanted to lose weight. They wanted to see their abdominals. They wanted bigger biceps, whatever the case may be. As time passes, our goals tend to change depending on our, what's happening in our lives, whether we've attained the original goal and we now realize that we want to continue to maintain that and progress from there. And I realized that I was really good at working people out, but I needed to improve my skills with working with the total being, right? So when we think about health and well-being, especially nowadays, because of the world that we are living in, the pandemic, the violence that's happening in the world, many of us are not only physically stressed, but like you mentioned, mentally and emotionally stressed. And so what my role is now is not only to get my clients to incorporate a regular exercise program into their daily lives, but also be able to use that to help them deal and overcome the emotional and the mental stresses that they're under. Now, I'm not a therapist, and I'm not a doctor, so we don't do therapy, but the evidence is crystal clear, the research is crystal clear. From my own experience, I know that a person who tends to prioritize their health and well-being and is in better shape is in a better position when these stressors do come to handle them.
Yes, that shift is so beautiful. And also, how important is mindset in combating the aging process?
It's very important once you hit a certain age, because, like I mentioned earlier, many people come to me um, either because their bodies are starting to break down, they're starting to experience more body aches, they're starting to feel like they're getting older. Sometimes just the number, hitting the age of 50 or hitting the age of 60, can be um, you know, not a traumatic event, but a visceral event in their lives, because now they realize that they are in their second half. And so when they come to me in that place, my job is to help them to believe that it's not too late, that it's still plenty of time to progress. And if they start now, that in and of itself may extend their lifespan. And if that is going to happen, right? If that's the goal, that we want them to live a longer lifespan, then we want to make sure, like I mentioned earlier, that their health span travels a parallel path. So they can still tie their shoes when they're 80. They can still get out of a chair without assistance. They can still walk from here to there without pain. They can get out of bed in the morning with it doesn't take them 20 minutes to get out of bed in the morning. Those kinds of things. They can get on the floor and play with their grandkids. So the belief, right? There's a saying that if you want to become somebody, or if you want to become something, then you want to behave like and think like that person that you want to become before you become that person.
Yes, and also because my parents, they are also above 50. So when they hit the 50, they were like, "Oh no, we are too old to start fitness classes and to go fitness classes or have this kind of like gym or any sort of yoga or something." But I anyhow managed them to take classes every day or to go to gym or to go to yoga classes. And after they just joined, and after a few weeks or a month, I just saw that there are physical and mental changes, both. Like their health holistically is more better than they were in previous. So it's very important the way you have said.
Oh, sure. Oh, sure. I mean, all you have to do is look, you can Google it, you can chat GPT it, you say, what's one of the things that I can do that will benefit my mental capacity? And on that list is going to be exercise. What's one thing that'll help me with my emotional well-being? Exercise. What's one thing that will help me with my, weight gain? Exercise. What's one thing that will help me with my joint arthritis? Exercise. I mean, exercise is literally the fountain of youth that everybody's looking for. We already know that exercise can help combat all of these things: depression, emotional imbalance, physical disabilities, mental decline. All of those things can be improved through exercise. Now, the exercise by itself may not be the only thing that you'll need to improve all of those, but exercise is definitely part of the um, of the would be part of your overall recovery plan.
Yes, yes, that's the. And also, you have worked with people through many life stages. So, what have you noticed about motivation and purpose as people get older?
As people get older, the motivation you see changes, right? So it becomes more of um, life improvement, right? So I'll tell you a story. So I had a client who came to me. I've been working with him now for, this is our 8th year together. He came to me because he could no longer tie his own shoes. Now he was 70. He had just turned 70. So at the age of 70, he can't tie his own shoes. I mean, think about that for a second. Um, if the lifespan is 80, he's got another 10 years. Can you imagine not being able to tie your shoes for another 10 years? So he came to me and he said, "Do you think this is possible?" And I said, "Absolutely." So we worked on his mobility, we worked on his flexibility, we worked on his strength. Right. So that led into once we got him to relearn how to tie his shoes. He said, "I love taking a bath every once in a while, but I can't get myself out of the bathtub. Do you think we could work on that?" And so that's what we started to do. Right. And then during the pandemic, we started working together prior to the pandemic. During the pandemic, his oldest son had another baby, a little girl. And his dream was to be able, when the pandemic, um, you know, passed, his one dream was to be able to get on the floor to play with his 2 year old, to play with his granddaughter. When he eventually was able to do that, we worked on that, getting down to the floor, getting up from the floor without assistance. By the time the pandemic had passed and he was able to meet with her, he's English and his oldest son was in Australia. She was 2. And I'll never forget when he came to me and he said, I can't thank you enough because it was just so amazing to get down on the floor to play with my 2 year old granddaughter and then get up and pick her up. And so think about that for a second. He came to me because he couldn't tie his own shoes. That led to him getting in and out of the bath without assistance, him getting down on the floor and up from the floor and being able to pick up his 2 year old granddaughter. And so what I find is people, when they reach a certain age, they are able to embrace the small, what I call golden nuggets of what it means to be healthy and well. So it's less about extrinsic factors like, a lean body or 6-pack abs or big biceps, but it's more about being able to move from point A to point B without assistance, being able to stand up for long periods of time, being able to get out of bed in the morning without back pain, being able to get down on the floor to play with your grandkids and get back up without having somebody pull you back up, being able to walk long distances with the person that you love. So um, I'm currently working with him 3 times a week. I started working with his wife. And so now they go on long walks together, which they never could do before he started working with me. He is a very tall man and grew very quickly in his adolescence and was teased a lot in middle school. So he was never really comfortable with his body and never athletic. So it's really been a transformation. And he is very appreciative of the work that we've done together and the progress that he's made. And he's thriving. I mean, he really is thriving. And you find when people get to a certain age, those are the things that are important, the things that improve their lives or allow them to continue to live their lives. So my oldest client is 93, and her number one goal is to stay out of a wheelchair. We've been lucky, through hard work and perseverance. She doesn't need a wheelchair and she doesn't need a walker. She can still, um, under her own power and energy, she can still walk. And she goes for at least a mile walk a couple of times a week with friends. So she's still very active. So, those kinds of things that improve people's lives and help them to continue to live productive and energetic and just live life to its fullest, even into your 70s, 80s, and 90s, are the things that an older population really appreciate.
Yes, that's so interesting. And thank you for sharing all these stories and all these experiences. And if my listeners want to connect with you, then what's the best way?
The best way is probably on social media. I'm on Facebook. My name, Carlos A. Reyes. I have a Facebook group, which is called Ageless Performers Forever. And there's a link on my Facebook profile. I'm also on LinkedIn. And yeah, those are probably the best places for me, for anybody to.
Yes, and I will make sure to attach all the details and links below so that the listeners can find them easily and get in touch with you and listen more from you because the wonderful knowledge and the experience and the stories you shared today is really commendable. And to all my listeners, Carlos Reyes reminds us that aging isn't a decline, it's a call to rise into a deeper, wiser strength. Your health after 50 isn't about going back, it's about showing up fully for the life that's still ahead. So, wherever you are in your journey now, remember it's never too late to begin and always the right time to choose yourself. Until next time, keep moving, keep believing, and keep rewriting the story of what is possible.